Alrighty, welcome back to Editing in Adobe Audition. Today we're going to be talking about noise reduction. So what is noise reduction? It allows you to take a certain set of frequencies that you select and try and remove those frequencies as much as possible from a set of audio. So for example, if you have some noise in a piece of audio, you can select that and try and get rid of it and reduce it to as much as possible. However, one side effect is that this will end up distorting the audio. So if you do this too much or put too strong of a settings in your denoising, it will create some distortion. So you got to keep an eye out for that. All right, let's go how to do this. First of all, we're going to play this piece of audio.
Test number one. Test number one. Test number one.
And if you listen very carefully, there is a little bit of noise in the background, and I can amplify that by selecting this right here and putting the loop on, as you can see right there. That's the loop button. And you can hear that there's a little bit of noise in the background. Now it's not much, so I can drag this again and you can hear what it sounds like. But obviously we don't want to increase the noise, we want to denoise. So how do we do that? All right, so we go up to the effects right here, go to noise reduction and capture noise print. This essentially tells the software, okay, this is the kind of noise that we're trying to get rid of. So select that and analyze that. Then we select everything. We can drag across right here or just hit Control A. Go back to the effects, noise reduction and noise reduction process. And that brings up this very confusing bit right here. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know how all of it works. However, the main points are just this graph here, which you want to drag these bars to try and get the green dots to line up as much with the yellow dots as possible. Like so. And then these two sliders here is you've got your noise reduction, how much you want to reduce the noise by, and then also it's a very similar slider is how many decibels. You want to put these as high as you can without creating distortion. These settings work quite well for this piece of audio, but it may be completely different for something else. It's a lot of experimentation. That's with many of these effects, is you're just going to have to experiment, try and figure out what sounds the best, and just do that. So if you want to try and figure out what sounds the best, how do you do that? Well, if you go down here, you can press play to preview what the effect's going to do.
Test number one. Test number one.
And
Test
again, we've
number
got the
one.
loop right
Test
there,
number.
which is right there. So that sounds pretty good. So I'm going to hit apply, and that has applied the noise reduction. So we can go back to this section of audio right here and put it on loop and play. And there's almost nothing, which is perfect. So we've got the noise reduction done. Except that's not actually completely done, because there are multiple ways to do denoising. This way was through the waveform, but there's actually a way to do it through the multitrack using the effects rack over in the corner right here. So we're going to show you how to do that right now. So I'm just going to get rid of the noise reduction by hitting Control Z, and we're just going to have the plain old audio.
Test number one.
Just like that. And so what we're going to want to do is bring our mouse over to here to this arrow right there and highlight all of the audio and click the button right there and hit noise reduction denoise. And this is going to bring up a different graph, and the default settings are pretty good on this, but you obviously mess around with it. That's what all of these effects are going to need, is lots of experimentation. Don't be afraid to be bold and just whack a setting way off to one side or way off to another. And just keep listening to it, trying to figure out, okay, what sounds the best. Get other people to come in and listen and be like, okay, how does this sound? And that's just how you do all of these things. It's a lot of experimentation, and you will get much better as you go along. So these settings work quite well for this little bit of noise, so I'm not going to have to mess around with it too much, but I'm just going to hit the close button, and that is up in the effects racks here. So we can turn it off at any time we want just by clicking that button right there. And clicking it back on will power it back on, and so we can toggle it between the two. So what I'm going to do is drag our mouse thing right to the beginning of the audio and hit play with it on.
Test number one.
And that's got a lot less noise than if I were to get rid of that.
Test number one.
And so it's hard to tell from the beginning, so I'll just give an example, put on the loop. And you can see down in the levels even that there is a quantifiable difference in sound between the two denoise on and denoise off. And so that is exactly how you do it in the multitrack as well. So if we switch over to the multitrack and click our piece of audio here and just click the arrow, you do the same thing. We go to the noise reduction, denoise, go ahead and close it out, and there we've got our denoised audio in the multitrack. So it's very similar, very straightforward, and that is how you do it. And now that is everything done. See you in the next one. Bye.